Welcome, everyone. I'm Chris Rasmussen, board member of the Moose Jaw District Chamber of Commerce, and I'm very pleased to be back once again, this time to moderate the mayoral candidates political forum here in Moose Jaw. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that we're on the traditional lands referred to as Treaty 4 territory, and that the city of Moose Jaw is located on Treaty 4 territory, original lands of the Cree, Assiniboine, Ojibwe, Saulteaux, Dakota, Nakota, Lakota, and the traditional homelands of the Métis Nation. The Moose Jaw District Chamber of Commerce is nonpartisan, and we remain neutral. We do not endorse any of the candidates that are joining us here tonight. And of course, we would like to welcome the candidates who are here tonight: incumbent Fraser Tolmey, John Kott, and Nancy Nash. Thank you again for joining us this evening. Before we get started, we want to go over some of our rules to make sure that everybody knows what they are before we get going. Of course, we've seen some coverage south of the border, and we don't want that to happen here. So first off, of course, each candidate will have 5 minutes to do their introductions. It will be timed, and just like the provincial forum, if you start to run over, we're going to do one bell for your 30-second warning and then several bells for our bell happy little elf in the office to indicate that your time is over. Again, if your time does go over, we will mute your microphone just so that it's fair to everyone. Each candidate was presented with 3 predetermined questions that they received in advance, and I'm hoping that you presented your answers or have them ready to go. Questions throughout this presentation will be accepted through text. You can find that number scrolling across the bottom as we get underway. It'll be 306-690-7100. You can comment through the chat feature on the Moose Jaw District Chamber of Commerce Facebook page or through the Moose Jaw District Chamber of Commerce YouTube channel. Please note, not all of the questions that you submit this evening will be asked or able to be answered. It's just a matter of time, and we have a lot of questions that were sent in advance, so we want to make sure that everybody gets a fair crack at this. Candidates will have a maximum of 2 minutes to answer the questions that we ask them, and again, it will be timed. Candidates will each have a maximum of 3 minutes for a final wrap-up, and we hope to do that around 7:20 this evening as best as we can. If we get some good questions in, we might try and push it just a little bit more, but we do want to try and wrap up close to that 7:30 mark. And of course, probably one of the biggest rules is be respectful to the time, be respectful to each other, please. That goes for viewers at home as well. Please be respectful in the chat functions. All right, now that the guidelines are out of the way, one of the things that we did here in the office before we got underway, we met with the candidates and we did a draw to see what the order of presentation would be this evening. First will be John Kott. Second to speak this evening will be Nancy Nash. And third will be incumbent Fraser Tolmey. At the end of the forum tonight, we'll reverse it, and then we'll do our 3-minute closing comments. So let's begin. John, your opening remarks are on deck, and you have 5 minutes, please.
We'll do our 3-minute closing comments.
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm getting...
John, your opening remarks are on deck, and you have 5 minutes, please. We'll do our 3-minute closing comments.
First of all, I'm getting double feedback here. Is that the problem on this side or your side?
5 minutes, please. We'll do our 3-minute closing comments.
First of all, I'm getting double feedback here. Is that the problem on this side or your side?
5 minutes, please. We'll do our 3-minute closing comments.
Can you hear me? I'm getting double feedback here. Is that the problem on this side or your side?
Can
you hear me?
John, you got to turn down your speakers. Turn down your speakers.
Okay, 1 second.
Okay, John, we need you to turn down your speakers, please.
Now, speakers are down. Is that fine? Can you hear me now?
That sounds better, yes.
No. We're good to go? Is that fine? Can you hear me now?
That sounds better, yes.
Okay. Okay, well, good evening. We're good to go? Is that fine? Can you hear me now? It's coming back double every time. But I'll just go.
Unfortunately, that's going to be your internet connection, and I'm going to suggest that you turn your speakers down as far as they'll go so that you don't get that feedback anymore.
I'll just go. My speakers are down that I can't even hear you now, but I'll just go. All right. Good evening. My name is John Kott. My speakers are down that I can't even hear you now, but I'll just go. All right. Good evening. My name is John Kott. Speakers are down that I can't even hear you now, but I'll just go. All right. Good evening. My name is John Kott, and I'd like to thank the Moose Jaw Chamber of Commerce for holding this forum. Is everything fine so far? My name is John Kott, and I'd like to thank the Moose Jaw Chamber of Commerce.
The feedback is coming from your computer, John. Unfortunately, we can't control that unless you turn your speakers right off.
Oh, okay. Everything is right off, but so I can just go.
Yes.
They are right off. Okay, everything is turn them right off. Right off. Muted. Okay, we're good now.
Is there another computer in your office right now?
Good evening. My name is John Kott, and I'd like to thank the Moose Jaw Chamber of Commerce for holding this forum. I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself. I was born and raised in Moose Jaw, growing up on Maple Street, overlooking the 4th Avenue Bridge in downtown Moose Jaw. I attended St. Mary's School and Vanier Collegiate. I am child number 5 out of 7 siblings. My dad was known as the Chicken Man because he worked at the Swing Inn, which is now known as the Burger Cabin down in Waccamaw Valley. He delivered Kentucky Fried Chicken for $1.25 a delivery, while my mom stayed home doing her best to feed us. She spent countless hours on her sewing machine making all of our clothes so we could go to school. She would also wake us up early every Sunday morning so we wouldn't be late for church, where I was an altar boy. The whole family watched the flood of '74, coming only a foot away from our house. My dad was devastated. He lost his job and didn't know what to do. Little did we know that it was a blessing in disguise. So much help and support came from the people of Moose Jaw, and from there on, it was indeed the friendly city. I'm telling you all this because I believe it's important for people to know about my humble upbringing. When I was 17, I started working at Safeways for 21 years. While working there, I started my business, which is now over 30 years old. My wife Eva and I raised 3 children, Ryan, Joel, and Lindsay. I umpired. I coached Little League Baseball. I also played broomball for a number of years and later refereed and became referee-in-chief of Saskatchewan Broomball Association, which I'm still proud of. Moose Jaw is a great city, but it seems like over the years, it's the same old, same old. Everything's run the same, and nothing really changes. It seems like whenever a business is interested in coming to Moose Jaw, they have to go through so many hoops and too much red tape. I'm just tired of sitting around with my buddies and listening to them saying the city should do this or the city should do that. My dad used to tell me, step up to the plate. Well, Dad, I'm stepping up to the plate. And if I'm elected, I'll try my best to make the right changes for the city of Moose Jaw. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Next will be Nash. Your 5 minutes starts when you're ready.
Sharing. On October 6th at 9 p.m., I first discovered Waccamaw Valley was in danger of being developed. I called Becky Schultz, who convinced me to run for mayor, and we sprang into action. With 2 minutes to spare, nomination papers were filed next day while I was working at my cashier job. It was Becky's selfless and sharing efforts that made this happen. Saving Waccamaw Valley for all time is the reason I'm nominated. I want to acknowledge all the native Indian tribes who once lived and camped upon this land, including Chief Sitting Bull and his people, who now rest here in Moosutapishkan and in the Waccamaw Valley. My late mother's Hyder Raven clan mother, Dr. Minnie Croft, and birth mother, Virginia Nash, and especially my Shuswap mother, Mildred Smith, who just 2 days ago made her journey to the spirit world. She had planned to journey here with my sisters should I win to see me sworn in. My mothers were all warriors and survivors and will always be with me. My motto is, there is enough for everyone if we share. When singers and musicians asked me to help them get into the studio work, I did help them, including a songwriter I wrote. His fridge was bare, much like the fridge in North Battleford where my siblings and I didn't have enough to eat. His talent landed him a jingle gig. You might have heard of him. His name's Brian Adams. CBC journalist Rick Houston was documenting extinction of native languages and included Hand in Mine, a song Ken Chalmers and I wrote that featured Saskatchewan Cree drum group Arrows to Freedom. My first music video, To Give Our Love, and you can still watch it on YouTube, it features Cree hoop dancer Buffalo Child. Both these events interwove native traditional and pop music for the very first time in the world. Now that's good sharing. Service. I was born in Wolf Country, North Battleford. My Haida name, Sazahashkitkahiel, means red sky full of hope. I'm wired to problem solve, work hard, and to serve. It began with siblings, later on jobs and bands to support family, and then as a single mom, and later elders, my term for all seniors. I've lived many places and worked alongside fellow workmates, whether serving meals, songs, or groceries, from the most famous Bob Hope to Bon Jovi, who still owes me money, Cher, and Stompin' Tom, to a homeless Vietnam vet running for mayor in Santa Monica, where we worked with others to create the first food program for homeless children and their parents. Bob Rock and Mike Fraser, young wannabe engineers at Little Mountain Sound in Vancouver, didn't know how to properly clean the toilets in the bathrooms and asked me for some help. Before the jingle session I gave them cleaning instructions. Today, they're both world-renowned producers and engineers. Everybody's journey has a beginning. I still clean my own toilets. Abused animals came to my attention, and to this day, we rescue, rehab, and rehome if possible. My religion is feed the hungry. Actions are all that matter. The plight of Native children came to my attention. I was able to help a few, raising them on my jingle money and according to their people's traditions. Today, I'm still in service as a cashier. It doesn't matter whether we serve groceries, meals, or songs. I consider all of it show business, also called life, requiring excellent people skills, something City Hall and all of us can improve upon. Empathy. The amount of trauma that children endure decides their future. Along their life's journey, they must do their best to heal and begin the long road to recovery. Happiness takes really hard work, and it's the result of actively sharing and being in service. Empathy is a result of both service and sharing. Empathy, service, and sharing open our hearts so that we can actually feel. Loss and mistakes in life are all markers, and if we're lucky, it leads to empathy. After my son left this world to be with Yeshua, I could have been real angry and hateful, blaming the Creator and other people and myself, but my grief transformed into empathy for others. I'm lucky. Yoda says, do or don't, there is no try. I will do the very best I can, sharing and serving each one of you with empathy and accountability, using the Cities Act as my guide. With Moose Jaw citizens' input, we can all pave the way to a brighter future. My young customers know me as Spider-Man's grandma because I wear my orange glasses and I'm not afraid. Fight the good fight, keep the faith, Midwest.
Thank you. Incumbent Fraser Tolmey, your time starts when you're ready.
I've just unmuted myself, Chris. Just I thought you guys were going to have control of that. So thank you to the Chamber of Commerce for holding this forum, viewers and fellow candidates. My name is Fraser Tolmey. I was an officer in the Royal Canadian Air Force, and the training program brought me here to Moose Jaw, where I met my wife, Cassandra Golding, a lifelong Moose Jaw resident. We've been married for over 12 years, and we have two very energetic daughters who are 8 and 5 years old. I've served you as a city councillor for 3 years and mayor for the last 4 years. Tonight, I'm here to remind you of the past 4 years and the progress that we've made, and that this progress is attributed to working together. Together, we've been making Moose Jaw a prosperous place to live and do business. 4 years ago, this community faced some serious challenges, years of core infrastructure neglect and unfair funding model to cast iron replacement program. This left many people in our community not feeling respected or heard. They wanted to be part of a respectful and supportive community. They wanted to work together to find solutions to the challenges we faced. In 2016, we were a city divided and fractured. That's where we were 4 years ago. 4 years ago, I asked this community for your support. I asked you to join me in a journey to a better way forward together, because I knew that together we can do better. 4 years later, we have come up with a cast iron funding model that is fair and ensures that this project is a community priority until its completion. I've spoken to many people in this community when considering re-election. In the conversations that I have had, people are saying, finally, things are getting done. Finally, infrastructure and economic development is being addressed. We have accomplished this together through hard work and dedication. We have gone from a city hall that did not listen to its people to a city hall that is more engaged and recognizes the importance of the paying customer, you, the taxpayer. We have done this by increased and direct two-way communication through our city website and new City of Moose Jaw app, and modernizing antiquated systems. This direct communication makes City Hall directly accountable to you by allowing you, the taxpayer, to communicate issues you see in the community and sending them directly to City Hall, and further keeping the taxpayer informed of the status of their concerns. In the last 4 years, we have transformed our economic outlook. We have attracted over $1 billion in economic growth by aggressively pursuing the Sask Power Plant when we weren't even considered for this project. We've had over $111 million in building permits. For over 10 years, XL Beef Plant sat dormant in our community. Through conversations with Thunder Creek Pork Plant, XL Beef Plant has now been purchased and is now seeing major upgrades. The future of that plant will no longer be sitting idle. We did the same to save the Canadian Tire development on Thatcher Drive because we wanted the local Canadian Tire store to grow and expand. This means jobs. Small businesses like Lions Creek and the new bakery opening on High Street, where Scrubs used to be, required the same help from City Hall. For years, we heard nothing happens here and there is nothing to do. In early 2017, we hosted the Rogers Hometown Hockey and the Country Music Television One Horse Town concert, which highlighted our city across Canada. 2019 saw the return of the Saskatchewan Air Show, and 2020 the Scotties Tournament of Hearts. We attracted global attention with Mac the Moose and retained the title of World's Tallest Moose. Those events impacted our tourism industry and raised our city's profile. This attention brings tourists to our community, which directly impacts our local economy and helps small businesses in our downtown core survive and grow. Good leadership is inclusive and open. Good leadership unites people and brings them together to work for a common good, present and future. Good leadership has a shared vision, a plan, and a way of getting things done. Here we are today, 4 years on. My conviction remains the same as it did 4 years ago when I asked for you to join me on a journey. I can help make a better future for our city. To build a better community, you need strong community partners, and these strong community partners must want to build a better community. My decision to ask for your support in this re-election campaign is the culmination of what working together can do. We're going to continue to invest, attract, protect, and create for the well-being of our citizens and community. Together, we really have done better, but we're not done. We're just beginning. And on November 9th, I'm asking for your support to re-elect me as your mayor, because together we are better.
Thank you very much to the candidates for those opening remarks. We would now like to proceed on to the questions section of the forum this evening. And as we mentioned earlier, the candidates were each provided with 3 questions to start with. And we would encourage you watching at home or on the road, wherever you are today, to send in some of your questions as well that we can ask some of the candidates. Again, you can use that chat function on YouTube or Facebook. We can also get you to text into the number that's scrolling across the bottom of your screen, 306-690-7100. Again, not all of the questions will be presented this evening, but we will attempt to get to those that are appropriate for this evening. So let's begin. Again, being that we started with John and then on to Nancy Nash and Fraser Tolmey, we will flip the order and we will start with number 2. So Nancy Nash, you will begin the question section. It's time to take some questions, and the first one will be the ones that we sent to you in advance. Question 1. Businesses were greatly impacted and will continue to be impacted by COVID-19. What will you do as mayor to help the local business community recover and be more resilient into the future? Nancy Nash, please.
I trust and respect the citizens and believe they're smart enough to decide for themselves how they want to conduct business and care for their families and friends, especially their elders, the treasures and wisdom of our communities. I'm deeply impressed how respectful citizens, City Hall, and the police have been throughout the COVID movement. The Charter of Rights was set up to protect all Canadians, especially during a time such as now. People have the right to their individual choice under this charter, and I encourage you all to read it and know it. People are still hurting from government's decisions, dealing with lost jobs and businesses, hours cut and pay cut, including my work as a cashier because of the lockdowns. If I'm elected mayor, I'll do everything to assist folks getting back their freedom. As well, I will open the books, and you, the citizens of Moose Jaw, not the council, will decide what you want to do about safeguarding your money before it's down the toilet. Mosaic Place has a debt. Well, let's bring in some rock stars. I happen to know a few, and maybe football legend Ruben Mays, who I used to babysit. Our focus will be to serve the citizens already living here. We'll offer incentives for industry and small businesses, and we'll keep the heart of the city center healthy and all stores open. Already many ideas from entrepreneurs are on the table. I got 3 more today. Instead of new development, first fix the ghost houses, fix the pipes, fix the streets, proper signage, and clean this friendly town up, because right now it's looking kind of notoriously unpretty. We can do this if we work together. Actions are all that matter. Let's bring back some pride and breathe a sigh of relief that we're still the true north, strong and free. That sounds like a song, and you heard right. Moose Jaw is open for business.
Thank you. Fraser, please.
Thank you, Chris. I appreciate this question, and I'd like to start this off by saying that pre-COVID, we had done some work as a council and with the Chamber of Commerce to prepare businesses to be prepared for the e-economy that we have. And so we've been trying from the city's perspective to have businesses better learn the e-economy. Businesses like City Hall must adapt to the new digital economy. And I just received a letter from TD Bank saying they will no longer be updating passbooks. So we know that there is changes. I understand that some businesses are based on the experience and a shopping experience, I mean by that. And so a cookie cutter approach solution does not always work for every business. Knowing this, we have joined in on weekly meetings with the Chamber of Commerce and local businesses through our and through our meetings, we have paid attention to the challenges businesses face. I have sat in on a few of these, and I know that we have a strong council participation in the downtown business group. This is important to hear directly from businesses what is going on and how they are being impacted. This also helps in having a business solution to the challenges businesses are facing rather than a government decision without input. Recently, we deferred taxes and approved grants for businesses directly impacted by the pandemic. We will continue this process to listen to our partners and help where we can.
Thank you. John, when you're ready, please. Okay, again, we would remind the candidates, please do not use the mute and unmute function on your computers. It messes up with our controls here. John, could you please unmute yourself so that we can take control? John, you're still muted. We'll give John another 30 seconds here, and then we'll move on to the next question. Okay, John, can you unmute yourself, please?
Good. I believe I'm good to go. Everybody can hear me now?
Yes, sir. Your time starts, please, with a question about COVID.
All right. No one knows where this pandemic is headed or when it will end, or for that matter, what things will look like after it has settled down. We're all hoping for normal to return, but this might be our normal for a while until a vaccine is found. While the city has delayed collection of property tax, it is a good short-term support, but it is short-term. And if the COVID continues, it will impact the city's budget. The concerns we are hearing in the community, and especially at this time from business, is that it should be shared with the province on a regular basis. Let's not forget, we are under the direction of the provincial and federal government. They have the experts and the ability to build programs and supports which we don't have at the municipal level. People of Moose Jaw should be reminded to support local business whenever we can. That is something we can all do, and it's an important step during this pandemic. Thank you.
Thank you, John. We'll move on to our next question now, and I'll say it before we get into this. The first presenter answering this question will be Fraser Tolmey. What do you feel are the greatest opportunities and challenges for business growth and or expansion in Moose Jaw? Fraser, please.
Yeah, thanks. I've been a strong advocate for water security. The Diefenbaker Dam project, when it was shut down in 1972, was a real shame. However, the recent announcement of $4 billion for the water irrigation project greatly benefits the city of Moose Jaw. We were established as a trading area for farmers in the early 1900s, and we had one of the largest flour mills, Robin Hood, in Western Canada. This was an ag value-added production facility. With water security for the agriculture industry, this is a return to our roots and ag value-added industries in our community. I think it's important that we do recognize some of the challenges, and the challenges we face are workforce related. Businesses that I speak to are concerned about not having enough people in the workforce. And that is why we pursued the RNIP, which is the Rural Northern Immigration Program, to help businesses in need for them to be able to expand and grow. We know that technology is going to be an important factor in this area. And so I'm very excited about the future of Moose Jaw with this program and with this water irrigation project opening up. I think we're going to see a lot of business expansion in the ag value industry here in the city of Moose Jaw.
Thank you. John, you will be next to speak to this question. What do you feel are the greatest opportunities and challenges for business growth and or expansion in Moose Jaw?
Well, there are a lot of opportunities in and around Moose Jaw. In this region, we live in the center of some of the most productive land in the world with the best producers. We grow a wide variety of crops and livestock, all with potential for value added and distribution across Canada and around the world. We sit at the crossroads of some of the best transportation access to markets: Trans-Canada Highway, Highway 31 to the US, the rail service, CN, and the Soo line to the US. The industrial park, with SaskPower building a new power plant, is one more asset to attract new and expanding business. We can work with Sask Poly to train and upgrade employees. We have a variety of housing options, recreation, parks, public facilities, all available for families in Moose Jaw. We have all the basics, but we also need to think outside the box. We also have some challenges, though. We have a lot of red tape. We have to make it easier for businesses to come to Moose Jaw. We need to give them access to information on zoning, business license, business tax, and incentives. They need to be readily available. To work with economic development needs to work more closely with businesses. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Just a reminder, one bell means you have 30 seconds. We'll ring it several times when your time is up. Finally, completing the question about great opportunities or challenges for business growth in Moose Jaw will be Nancy Nash. When you're ready, please.
My sister and I moved to Moose Jaw because it's not a big city. So bringing giant corporations isn't a small city vision. Tons of folks here are artisans and creators of products, and these folks are entrepreneurs waiting to happen. Industry, manufacturing plants and factories that say made in Moose Jaw. We can start with the Canadian flag. No more China, made in China Canadian flags, or Moose Jaw t-shirts made in China. Preserving the past, our heritage, and literally paving the way for a brighter future. We want to have a variety of business and entertainment options to bring more folks from farms and surrounding communities. They're an integral part of Moose Jaw's well-being. We want to take care of the citizens that are already here who need a hand up, not a handout, and help them get back on their feet. We can't do it alone, and I expect citizens, those whose town this is, to stand up and be counted as well. We'd like to increase police presence within the city, look to our officers as protectors and friends, not somebody to avoid. We keep hearing the phrase, stay safe. To me, this means we work together with our police protectors. It's a two-way street. Respect and courtesy at all times from both ends. Since the pandemic took over, many of our citizens lost their business and their job. So we want to get the local citizens back to work. And this includes the Native people whom I'm akin to. I want you to feel welcome and wanted. There's a lot of things that people love to grow and make crafts. So let's grow more gardens and eliminate harmful pesticides that are killing the bugs, birds, earthworms, and destroying our immunity. Let's get it done.
Thank you very much. That completes that round of answers for the questions. The final prepared question that the candidates received before the forum tonight is one that we asked of the provincial candidates just a couple of weeks ago. So we did ask this question. We're going to ask it again here because we believe it should be a partnership here at the Chamber of Commerce. With more business being done out of the office and in the home setting, Moose Jaw has a unique opportunity to capitalize on the new economy created by the pandemic by attracting professionals to our community with affordable housing and taxation compared to the larger cities in the world, as well as a friendly atmosphere. Moose Jaw could become a new tech hub for Canada. These professionals could work from their homes for businesses around the world and still enjoy the quality of life that Moose Jaw provides. The question: what is your plan as a mayoral candidate to attract and grow more investment in these technology sectors? We will begin with John, please.
Absolutely, it's a unique opportunity. My platform speaks to the economy. Better promotion of Moose Jaw's benefits to attract new business. We need to work with our two MLAs to get the word out. Those people don't know that we are only 35 minutes away from a major airport. Don't make a huge amount of big commitments because the uncertainty of the city budget. But looking at the same old bricks and mortar isn't going to cut it. The world has changed and it's continuing to change. We have some of the best hours of sunlight and wind. Are there opportunities in solar, wind energy, and renewables? Of course, the world is going green. Try to attract companies that manufacture solar panels, electrical parts for wind turbines, companies that produce lithium batteries, and the list goes on. The question spoke about technology and doing business from home. COVID has moved business and work into the home, and technology has played a big part. Moose Jaw is perfectly placed, not only with all the assets we discussed in the previous question, plus Moose Jaw was the first city in Saskatchewan with fiber optic network that gives our community some of the best download and broadband options. We have a variety of housing options, recreation, parks, and public facilities, all available for families in Moose Jaw. We need to put more work into promoting those assets. Work closely with business interests to make sure they know all that Moose Jaw has to offer. The more people know, the higher rate of our success will be. Thank you.
Thank you very much, John. So that concludes the prepared questions section. It's now time to take some questions on the floor. Pardon me. I'm looking at the wrong line. It is now Nancy Nash's turn to answer the question. My apologies. Nancy, when you're ready.
So tech totally has a place in society and business, but it should never control our lives. If you're homeschooling children or you're working online from home, I totally support your choice, as long as nothing is mandated or quietly slipped in without one's full awareness that something else, maybe something notorious, is in the works. Before we think about getting bigger, we need to think about getting better. I've been a musician, singer all my life. Sensory deprivation is the same thing as torture. I'm for less tech, more sensory, what I call organic, so people can see, talk, laugh, sing, work together. Freedom is everyone's right under the charter, and people have simply been shut down. To continue in this method, it spells disaster for the human race. I'm against any foreign or domestic agency that's against my country that would seek to silence Canadians and keep them in a quarantine state, especially when our veterans gave their lives for our freedom to breathe and to live a good life without fear of all this oppression. Pandemic defined means any epidemic, not necessarily viral, occurring over a large area. Since COVID was introduced, there have been 26 recorded deaths in Saskatchewan. In that same time period, and I just checked today with the coroner's office, there's been 107 suicides. So my question is, which one is the pandemic? Humans need to be connected and feel connected in order to survive. Shopping at a store at the door, face-to-face in-person interactions, transactions. Now, I lived off the grid for over 10 years, and that's social distancing. Cabin fever was everywhere, and I see it rampant in Moose Jaw. My greatest gift from the mountain was the realization I not only liked people, I needed them right up close. We all do need each other.
Thank you. And Fraser, your turn, please. Again, the question about Tech Hub.
Thank you very much. This tags on to the previous answers that I've had with these other two questions, and it's about partnerships. We recently had a memorandum of understanding between the City of Moose Jaw, SAS Polytech, and CAE for UAS training. The reason why we did this was because I had a vision that technology was going to play a factor in the future of farming. John Stackhouse of RBC recognizes that there's a cliff of aging baby boomers, farmers who are retiring, and the need for technology to increase in the farming industry. I think about local businesses like Wow Factor Media and the success stories that they've had. And I recently visited an ag-focused innovation incubator in Regina. This, combined with the water security and potential for growth, I can see Moose Jaw not only to be a center of technology excellence in the ag industry, but the Fort McMurray of agriculture in Western Canada.
Thank you, Fraser. All right. That now concludes the prepared questions section of the forum this evening. And we are going to start taking some questions from the floor. Some of these have come through text messaging. Some of them have come across YouTube. This question happened to come to us through text messaging. If you have one for us, 306-690-7100. You can find that across the bottom of your screen. And again, we will continue with our format of going through in a different order. So with John starting that last one, we will get Nancy Nash to start this next question. You should see it on your screen, but I'll repeat it for those just in case you can't see it. A history of neglected infrastructure in Moose Jaw has resulted in years of election promises of better road conditions, better sidewalks, and underground services without talking about the dollars and cents that it would require. As mayor, what is your financial plan to help address the situation? Again, we will start with Nancy Nash for this question, please.
Well, first, the most important thing is to find out what's going on with the debt versus the bond, or it used to be a bond, but now it's in a variable. That's why I want to open the books, and I want the people of Moose Jaw to see it, because we don't know where we're at, because you can't do anything if you don't have the money to do it. And do you want to go in debt? Because we have a $60 million debt right now. So of course it's dollars and cents. And because I haven't been the mayor before, I don't know what the budget is, but I do know this. My dad and my late husband were both people that worked in asphalt, made roads. And I do know that the accountability, I have already a watchdog program in mind that makes sure when they do it right the first time. And so that's the problem. You see the same, since I've been here 4 years, I've seen the same road dug up like 8 times. And that's got to stop.
As moderator, I will interject with this question and say that city budgets are available to the public. You can request them at Moose Jaw City Hall at any time. We will continue on with the next question, or pardon me, with the same question, and we will go to Fraser Tolmey for your response, please.
Yeah, thank you. Well, we've increased the amount of infrastructure spending in the city by almost 2.5 times. When I was first elected in 2009, we were spending $75 million over a 5-year period. Now we're spending up to $200 million. We do know that that we've had reserves that have not really been paid attention to. They were sitting in bonds, and so we started up an investment committee. And the purpose of that was twofold. One, to keep your taxes low, and second is to get a higher return. And so every year we would get about $2 to $3 million extra for our infrastructure needs. So that is some of the things that we're doing right now. There's an opportunity to borrow at a very low interest rate, but we want to make sure that we're going to get a higher rate of return on our investment. So that is a balancing act that we look at and have been looking at for the last couple of years.
Thank you, Fraser. John, please.
Well, I definitely have to look into it a little further about where the money is to fix the roads. Of course, where we're going to be putting in new sewer lines. We shouldn't be fixing those ones, but obviously there is room for improvement. There's no doubt about that. I've seen perfectly good roads repaved again for some strange reason, and we've left other roads that people drive over every day just neglected. So we'll definitely look at that situation, and we'll deal with it. We'll get it done. Thank you.
Okay. So we will move on to the next question now. This one coming in on text as well, I believe, and I'll read it to you. We tend to focus on the negative. What 3 good things can each of the candidates say that has been done by the current council over the last 4 years? Again, that question, we tend to focus on the negatives, but can each of the candidates give us 3 good things that this current council has done over the last 4 years? We'll start with Fraser Tolmey, please.
Thank you, Chris. 3 good things. Well, when we first inherited in 2016, there was challenges, and as I said, that the community was fractured and broken, and we felt divided, and we addressed the cast iron funding model, as I said, and it's a funding model that will ensure that this project is completed. So that was one thing, but the root of that was building cooperation between partners. And so we also did that with the Chamber of Commerce, the Tourism Moose Jaw, and the Downtown Business Group, because everybody felt isolated. And we needed to have a community strategic plan that everybody was able to speak into, which we did. And we have built a strong foundation on the infrastructure. Yes, we do need to get better, but we've been doing this for just a few years. As I said before, we were only had $75 million worth of infrastructure over a 5-year period. So when you increase the capacity, you increase the workload, and you need to be able to adjust to that. And that's what we're doing. And as you can see, over time, you get better. And then I think we've been very aggressive with our economic way of trying to attract businesses. That $800 million SAS power plant wasn't even being considered in the city of Moose Jaw. And we went after that. And we fought for the Canadian Tire expansion, and just talked with Thunder Creek Pork Plant. So there is lots of opportunities and lots of things that we're doing to eliminate red tape, to show the benefits of doing business here in the city of Moose Jaw, and to help people within our community know that they are cared for and that they're part of a partnership.
Thank you. We move on to John, please.
Well, I've noticed in the past years that we've had more restaurants in Moose Jaw. And a lot of people say, geez, we got so many restaurants. Well, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. And we have the advertising about the moose around the world now. Now everybody knows we have the biggest moose in the world. Appreciate that. A third good thing City Council has done, that's a tough one for me. I'll admit to that. But all in all, it's all right for now. But we'll get better. That's for sure. We'll get better. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Nancy Nash, please.
I already did. I didn't expound though, and I do want to thank Mayor Tolmey very much. I think that the way City Hall handled, and you had a lack of information. Nobody knew what was going on with COVID and all of that, including the WHO and CDC, and I still don't think they know. And I think you've really handled this well. You didn't terrorize anybody, and I really appreciate that. I think our city's one of the very luckiest ones, if not the luckiest one, as far as people being. Didn't see anybody on the ground or anything. And here's another one that I don't think Moose Jaw people know. And I don't know if I can give you personal credit, but I want to tell you, I've lived everywhere. And me and my sister, and we take care of animals. And when we hear that garbage truck coming, we run to the window. We've never seen such a lovely service. You have great big bins. And we used to talk to the guys that have to pick up the big bins, and their backs would be out. By the time they're 20, they'd be injured. So the hoist picks up the garbage. I'm telling you, it's way ahead of every city in BC. I don't even think one city in BC has that. And that's where we came from. So kudos to the garbage. And I had another one, but it slipped my mind. Is that good enough?
Fair enough. Thank you.
Bring it back into my brain.
Fair enough, Nancy. Thank you. Our next question is another one that was submitted. There has been a noticeable increase in violent crime in Moose Jaw, in addition to a noted increase in drug-related crime. What options or ideas would you champion as mayor to try and reverse this recent trend? We will begin with John, please.
Well, of course, mental health is a big issue in Moose Jaw. I believe that the police force in Moose Jaw are doing a very good job. I think they should be going around to the schools more often and talking about to the students about the drugs, about the bad drugs, and just giving them more information and just telling them to say no. If you start taking these drugs, they will take over your life, and then there's problems, and that starts them doing break and enters and a whole bunch of bad things. So I think we should get more education, and we'll go from there.
Thank you, John. Nancy Nash, please, on the question of violent crime and drug-related crime in Moose Jaw.
So actions are all that matter. I already addressed that I want to increase police presence. I'm not sure if we need more officers involved or people that are qualified, because I think a lot of times people think that police are the guys with the guns and come in to arrest you. And we need more police force that are actually qualified to deal with mental illness and have taken, like, not just courses, because courses don't mean anything. You have to have hands-on. And mental illness is a huge part of the crime and drug-related, absolutely. So getting that on track. I'd like to see cops on the beat, walking, all being very accessible. So if you are in trouble, even if you're overdosing, you can approach a cop and go, I need some help, instead of being walked over. Like I saw a homeless guy in the street yesterday. I always get them coffee or tobacco or something. And I literally witnessed two ladies walk over this gentleman, and I went, oh my God, that's got to end. You know, the apathy and disregard for people who are in trouble. So that's that part of coming together, working together.
Thank you. We'll finish with Fraser Tolmey, please, on the question of violent and drug-related crime, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. And this is a really good question. So number one, I'd like to start off with when first elected in 2016, one of the stats that we were presented as a police commission was that we had the lowest number of provincially funded police officers in the province. We have gone since 2016 from 54 police officers to 61 police officers, and we will continue to do the same. I spoke to the police chief this morning, and the police chief actually just informed me that we have just received stats that we do have a lower crime rate and that we have a lower crime severity index that's just been released today. And that's not public knowledge, so that will come out over the next few weeks. But that doesn't matter. We still need to have police officers in the schools, and we've got a very good program where we are actually engaging with students. And one of the other things that I'd like to point out was that when I was first elected and sat on the police commission, we had police officers that were dealing with those that in the community that had mental health issues, and the police were out of their own wheelhouse. And so what we did was we partnered with the province and said, look, we need mental health people within the police station and social workers to help with this challenge so that our police officers can actually focus on the job. And that's what we've done. And so if you see a cruiser out there with two people in it, you'll see one is a police officer and sometimes one is a social worker. It's to face that challenge so that the police officers can actually focus on the job that they're meant to do. So we are addressing this. This is a challenge that's not only in the city of Moose Jaw, but we are part of the corridor from Edmonton to Winnipeg. And we have been talking with the province about this and raising concern because this is an issue for not just us, but for everybody in this province.
Thank you to the candidates for answering that question. I'll remind everybody that there is the text in line where you can send us your questions. You can also do it on the Facebook page, the live stream, and you can also do it through the YouTube page in the comments section. We'll move on to our next question here. And this is also a submitted question. What is your plan to ensure Moose Jaw is inclusive for all? What is your plan to ensure that Moose Jaw is inclusive for all? And we'll start with Nancy Nash, please.
Well, when you take the oath of office, you are impartial. So you have to include everybody because you can't identify anybody as more special or more inclusive. So one thing I'd like to get rid of, I've heard there are monopolies, especially with regard to work that's given out by City Hall. I don't want that. I want everyone to get a fair shake, and you know, if you're worth your salt, you get the job, and if you do it good, you'll get hired again. But I'd like to share that. It's kind of a vague question. So for all, I'm not really meaning, I'm just thinking in terms of all the public, and that is my platform, that we include everybody with our service and our action. So when it comes to like new businesses, I know there's great minds, great ideas, because I've already got them all listed. I'm not going to give them away, but I've got their names. They're coming at me with all these ideas. So I want all the ideas on the table. I spoke with the gentleman that runs and owns the hemp great big factory in Alberta. And that's a great idea, because did you know that hemp can solve all the problems? You can eat it, you can wear it, you can build car parts with it. So there's tons of ideas, from little business to friendly factories that aren't going to pollute our air.
Thank you. Fraser, your turn to answer the question, please. What is your plan to ensure Moose Jaw is inclusive for all?
That's a really good question, and I think Nancy pointed out that it is very open-ended, so it is a bit of a challenge to answer that. You know, Moose Jaw has a unique history, and part of our history was the Chinese immigrants that helped build the rail line, and I know that was a dark spot on our history. And so the city of Moose Jaw has recognized that, and we want to recognize the Chinese community and what they've accomplished and what they've done. And so I think we've turned a corner in being very respectful. And we want to do that for anybody that looks to move here or wants to plant roots here. And I think one of the things that we've been very good at, and I can't take any credit for this, and nor can my office, but the Multicultural Center has been an active player in welcoming people into our community and being very inclusive, and we support them in that. And I think it's important for us to also, as politicians, recognize that in our roles. And so I'm grateful for the hard work that's been done, and you know, I think that we will continue to progress that way. We're always going to face challenges, but you know, the people in Moose Jaw are very welcoming, very warm, and I'm very proud of them. So it's been really a pleasure to serve them for the past 4 years, and they are inclusive, and we are inclusive. So you know, again, I'm grateful to what the work is done in the Multicultural Center.
Thank you. John, you're up next for the question. What is your plan to ensure Moose Jaw is inclusive for all, please?
Well, we are the friendly city. And people who visit Moose Jaw, they realize that this is a beautiful city, and there is so many friendly people here. People that work at the air base, they always seem to come back, and they always retire. People who have visited here, they came back, they come back, they retire. People have lived here. They they've come back 20 years later because Moose Jaw is so friendly, and we welcome everybody around the world to come and live in Moose Jaw.
Thank you. This will be our final question, and I'll make the comment now. We have been swamped with questions on both the YouTube page, the Facebook page, and the text line started blowing up as soon as we went live. So I apologize in advance to all of you that have submitted questions. We just simply don't have enough time, but we will go on with this final question. No? We're good to go. All right, so the final question here this evening is going to be, what would you do to improve the relationship between municipalities in our region with the provincial and federal governments? So again, what would you do to improve the relationship between the municipalities in our region with the provincial and federal governments? This one will begin with Fraser, please.
Well, thank you. That's something that was part of my mandate 4 years ago, and we have improved the relationship between the province and the city of Moose Jaw, and I believe that we've shown that success by winning the SAS power plant and also the school, and so we will continue to speak with our MLAs. One of the things that we have established is regular meetings, and so we will sit down with our MLAs and let them know what the challenges that we're facing, and also some of the grants and funding that we apply for. They were never made aware of that prior to me being elected, and so we have opened up the dialogue so that they are aware, so that they can advocate for the city of Moose Jaw for projects that are important to their residents as well. We've also improved the relationship with the federal government, and I've just met with our member of parliament last Friday and had discussions about some of the challenges that we're facing. And so we're bridging that gap, and we're doing that because it's important for other levels of government to hear of the challenges that we're facing because it's their residents as well. And there's only one taxpayer. And so the money that's getting reinvested into the city of Moose Jaw is our money.
Thank you. John, the question, what would you do to improve the relationship between municipalities, the provincial and federal governments, please?
Well, to improve it, I'm not too sure about anything like that. What I think we should do, though, is work with our MLAs and talk to them and say, we don't care what you guys done for us in the past. We want to know what you've done for us in the present and the future. So we'll get together with them and we'll work together with them and the provincial government to help us help the taxpayers of Moose Jaw. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Nancy Nash, please.
Well, I'd like to have more involvement with members of parliament. I don't know if anyone knows this, but we've been in a 4-year drought, and there's reasons for that. And of course, everyone wants to blame it on climate change, but we need to think very, very carefully. The earth can only take so much abuse, and the overuse of the pesticides and the type of farming methods that are being implemented. We need to work provincially and federally to really recognize that we've got a really huge part. We just can't, point fingers. This is why there's climate change. By the way, I lived off grid, and solar and wind, I have dubious experiences with them because, first of all, I was deceived. I was told it was made out of sand, and it wasn't. So opening up that dialogue with other, especially with the province. I have ideas for water. I mean, we can improve our discourse, but the improvement has to include what the things are. And I have ideas for that. I think we just need to have honest conversations, not have hidden agendas, and we call that being transparent. So I'm new at this. I don't consider myself a politician. I consider myself a servant. I've always served, and that's what I am. And I do want to acknowledge both what John said and Mayor Tolmey said. I agree with what they said as well.
Thank you very much. That will conclude the questions from the floor this evening, as we've already gone over time. Thank you, everybody, for submitting your questions, and I apologize again for the swamp of questions that we had in. It's nice to see residents wanting to take part in forums like that. So thank you very much for sending in all of those questions. And again, thank you for the candidates for taking those questions from the floor. It's awfully difficult to think on your feet when it comes to some of these questions. So I'd like to acknowledge that again. So we'll bring that part of the presentation to a close, and we'd now like to wrap up the evening with closing remarks. As we mentioned off the top, we did a draw for spots, and we'll reverse that order. And so we'll start with incumbent Fraser Tolmey. Second will be Nancy Nash. And wrapping up the comments this evening will be John Kott. Before we begin, candidates, just a reminder that you will have 3 minutes to present your closing remarks. If needed, there will be that 30-second warning again. One bell means your 30-second warning. You'll also see a 30-second warning at the bottom of your screen on the ticker. And we will turn off your microphones if needed, but I hope we don't have to. So, Fraser Tolmey, the floor is yours, please, for your closing remarks.
Well, thanks, Chris, and I'm glad we're at this portion because, as I said earlier on, I have two very energetic children, an 8 and a 5-year-old, who are ready for bed, and so we're pretty close to that mark. So, my purpose tonight is to have presented myself as the person who would best represent this community and its interests, whether it's here in Moose Jaw or outside its city borders. We do have challenges. Some are the same as they were 4 years ago, but there is a better way forward, and we have made progress in the last 4 years. You look to the city to foster an environment that is prosperous, supporting and attracting people and economic activity, not just now, but for generations to come. We look to the city to forge partnerships that will support our city and mutually support our partners and our neighbors, whereby making our city a recognizable positive force in the region, the province, and even the nation. I'm asking you to allow me to continue to advocate not just for you, but with you, to tell Moose Jaw's story and to make it a better story. I want you to leave here tonight imagining a better future. Imagine Moose Jaw being a city where businesses wanted to locate here because there was no other city like it. Imagine a city that produces Canada's best, that nurtures Canada's future leaders in business, education, politics, art, and sports. Imagine going to work happy because you knew you lived in a community that cared for you. Imagine your leaders having earned your trust and confidence by working together. Imagine coming home from work knowing that the city was in good hands, your hands. Imagine a community of people working together, doing so much and doing it so much better for now and for tomorrow. For our children and our grandchildren who will someday proudly call Moose Jaw home. I have the leadership experience needed to work with a new council and a track record to show it. And I want to say tonight, together we are better. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm asking for your support on November 9th in the civic election. And I want to say thank you to the candidates who participated tonight. For those of you who watched, God bless, thank you. Together we are better.
Thank you, Fraser. Our closing comments continue with Nancy Nash, and your 3 minutes, please.
I spoke with my Shuswap mother, Mildred Smith, a few days before she left us, just two days ago. We were making plans for her and my sisters to come should I be elected mayor. She is really happy and excited, giving me advice, and she said, first mayor, next chief. If you know Indian humor, we laughed. My mother was a medicine woman, and she wanted to tell the people of Moose Jaw a very hard time is coming. So grow gardens with food to store. And she added, make sure you have clean water and air. She lived on the res beside Okanagan Lake, where I once lived high in the mountains above the res. She had really clean air, but would come up and get my well water as the res water was always on boil alert. I challenged Scott Moe and the Saskatchewan Party to get on board and make sure all reservations and people of Saskatchewan have clean water. I know water people ready to make this happen. It's the least we can do. Running a town can never be a solo effort. And after this few weeks of frantic crash course, my hat is off to Mayor Tolmey and to John Kott for his bravery running with us. Thick skin and impartiality is so required, plus good sense of humor, especially laughing at oneself. Always introspecting and knowing we can get through this and do it better. I asked Mr. Vandenbroek to consider being a hero in donating his portion of Waccamaw Valley to the people as a park for all time, all people, and especially his great-grandchildren, who they will remember him with pride and love. Heroes are something we can really use right now. And my heart goes out to all the Moose Jaw people, especially the treasures of our city, the elders. I will always call you that. That's my term for seniors, and especially special needs people. You've really suffered this year, and I met many of you as my job as a cashier. We want to help you recover, have a sense of safety and security, because we can make it through this. Just imagine clean and better streets, people sewing clothes again and selling their products that say made in Moose Jaw, Canadian made, a singer on the corner playing music, and a poet down the street sharing their words about Waccamaw Valley, also known as the Valley of Peace. Imagine we're singing and talking and laughing together. The rain has come and blessed this parched earth here, and the animals and all people are together in harmony. Simple, not frantic, smiling and nodding to each other. Oh, and I could hear some shopkeepers whistling again and citizens singing like nobody's listening. And now and then somebody dances right on the sidewalk because they're happy. So let's work hard together. Let's bring back the friendly and peace this land once was. We can do this. True, strong, and free. All my relations a whole.
Thank you. John, please, your 3-minute closing statement.
You know, in the past 6 years, the tax base for citizens of Moose Jaw have increased 9% per year, while the population stays the same. What's going on? I hear from so many people that phone City Hall with their inquiries and questions, and the city never returns their calls. What's going on? City Hall needs to serve the people, not the other way around. Who do you trust? Vote for a change, and I will conduct myself with humility and respect for taxpayers. I will be the voice for the community. I can't believe council voted for a raise in the middle of this pandemic. Families are struggling to pay bills. Many people are uncertain about job security, and businesses are wondering if they'll make it through the pandemic. City employees get 1 to 2% pay raises, and council, along with the mayor, get 21 to 28% pay raise. Apparently, council and the mayor don't care about us taxpayers. Shame on them. I will be donating the pay raise, if elected, to the charities in Moose Jaw. Thank you for listening. It would be an honor to serve you as mayor and ask you for your support. Thank you.
Thank you, John. And once again, thank you to all of the candidates who took part in the forum here this evening. And thanks to everybody watching from home for joining us for the Moose Jaw District Chamber of Commerce Mayoral Forum. As I mentioned earlier, for everyone who runs in an election, there is an awful self-sacrifice to this. So I wanted to thank the mayoral candidates, the council candidates, and the school board candidates. The school board elections are just as important as the council and mayoral elections. So please don't forget about that. Do your research, find your resources online, and please do your research before heading to the polls. Again, polls actually open today with the advanced polls at Moose Jaw City Hall. They continue on the 30th, the 31st, November 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, with actual election day, November 9th, from 9 until 8 p.m. here in the city of Moose Jaw. If you need more information, please go to the City of Moose Jaw's website, moosejaw.ca. If you didn't get your question onto the forum show tonight, please feel free to ask the candidates themselves. They've published their contact information, so please shoot them an email. They're doing some campaigning, so ask them the question, and you might get a better answer in person than you do during a forum. It's a lot of pressure to try and answer these questions on the spot like that with so many people watching. So please contact your candidates and ask them the questions. I'd also like to thank Heather and Rob here in the chamber office for all of their behind the scenes work to do this presentation. And just another reminder, election coming up November 9th. I'm Chris Rasmussen, and this has been the Moose Jaw District Chamber of Commerce Mayoral Forum. Good night. Good luck to all of our candidates, and residents, please remember to vote.
Thanks, Chris.